Hi, it's Harry. Welcome back to Beard Reviews, a new title for the channel, something a little bit easier to remember perhaps. Today, just so you're looking, Billy Strings, not metal, modern bluegrass, you should check it out. Today's not a review, although I have reviewed a couple of these elsewhere on the internet. Not talking about an individual heater, I'm just talking about heaters. It's getting to that time of the year now. Starting to get cold in the evenings, you might want to warm up a small space with one of these types of heaters. Which one are you going to choose? There are so many out there. I have bought quite literally the cheapest one I've been able to find. Can I find it today? I can't. A no-name Chinese-made fan heater that I think I got from one of the tool companies, Tool Station or Screwfix, one of the two of them. 15 quid. What makes that different to these, and what makes it different to a big name brand like the Dyson AM09? Link to the review might be coming up on a little title card here, you never know. Why would you spend 250 quid on a fan heater when you could pay 15 quid? Does it create more heat? So the funny thing is, a lot of these heaters come with lots of claims on them. So Air Multiply was the one on Dyson. You've got claims like rapid heating, all this sort of stuff. What does it mean? What does it do? I'll let you in on a bit of a secret. It's all about power, electrical power. A bit of a hero of mine from the Industrial Revolution, James Watt, gave his name to watts. So we talk about the wattage on these heaters. This is an 800 watt. This is an 800 watt oil-filled fin radiator. This one is a 2000 watt fan heater. This one is a 2000 watt fan heater. This one is a 2000 watt fan heater. Right, which one's more powerful? Russell Hobbs, Von House, or ProBreeze, or Daewoo? Which one's hotter? Which one puts out the most heat? Well, it's all three of these. 2000 watt. The thing to remember about heaters, especially electric fan heaters, and even these heaters, the electricity that's going into it equals the heat that comes out. Simple as that. These are very efficient uses of energy. As in, 2000 watts of electricity goes into this, and almost exactly 2000 watts worth of heat will come out of this. It'll be the same for an expensive fan heater as it would be for a very cheap fan heater. So don't believe some of the marketing hype when they say that because you spent £250 on a heater that for some reason it's going to create heat out of nowhere, because this is all to do with thermodynamics. Thanks to Isaac Newton for that one. Matter cannot be destroyed and it can't be created. Well, it's the same idea for this. If you're going to put 800 watts into this, you're getting 800 watts of heat. If you're putting 2000 watts of electricity into this, you're getting 2000 watts of heat out. Okay, simple as that. So you could go and buy the cheapest one, and it'll give the same amount of heat energy. So then why are we buying different ones? Well, it's the features. Hey, Tiggs. Cat. Why are we buying these different heaters? Different features. So these two are remarkably similar, actually. So what they have on the top, two dials, I'll do the example here because it's a little bit cleaner. We've got a very simple thermostat. Okay, it doesn't say any temperature on it. You can't see a temperature, you can't set a temperature. But inside is a basic thermostat. And what you do is you set it from a minimum temperature to a maximum temperature. Let's just say we want it to just heat, blast, blast. You put it onto max. Okay, then you've got fan mode, just blowing out cold air. And you've got one. Then you've got one with oscillation. Then you've got two. You've got two with oscillation. So you've got two steps of heat. So what you're going to get is on the lower setting, it's about 1000 watts. So on the lower setting, it's about 1000 watts. High setting, 2000 watts. Exactly the same thing here with the ProBreeze. Basic thermostat. So let's just say you're going to put it to somewhere in the middle. What it does is it has an internal thermometer once it hits a certain temperature, a switch inside turns it off. And then when the temperature dip in the room dips down again, it will ping back on. So you're paying for that. You're paying for that. But this is not, fancy machinery. These are, affordable things to have in your house. The Russell Hobbs, on the other hand, this was a little bit more expensive. I'll put the price on the screen up here somewhere. But what are you paying for? If I can find it, it ticks. You're paying for a remote control. The remote control on this one, it beeps. It's still got a ceramic heater behind it. You've got power. You've got a timer on this one. You can go up and down and you can get oscillation out of it. But what you're paying for is a remote control. So you can sit across the room and go, unfortunately, you can't turn the beeper. Okay, this does a similar thing, but let's say it's about how the heat feels. It's the same amount of heat coming out, but a nice oscillating fan, well, that's going to blow some heat into different parts of the room. It might bring the heat up in the room a little tiny bit quicker. Probably not by very much though. And then an oil-filled heater is a very different kind of heat. So instead of blowing hot air onto you or onto the thing you want to warm up, what this does is oil within the radiator heats up by a heating element. And then this heats up and it radiates heat. Okay, so it's pushing a little bit of heat out of it. It's similar to the radiators you have on your wall. Creates convection current, even though it's called a radiator. Creates convection current of heat. Heat will rise out of this, it will displace the colder air in the top of the room and create a nice cycle. Differences between oil-filled is noise. You don't get a lot of noise out of these things. They tick. They make a sort of ticking noise every so often. But you can have this running in the corner and you can forget that it's even there. It's just producing a small, a reasonable amount of heat. Whereas these guys, more of a blast of heat. You're pushing a bit of heat onto yourself and around the room. But as soon as you turn it off, these things are amazing within 10 seconds or so. Don't try this at home. I am a professional reviewer. You can put your hand on the front and it's cold. So you don't have that thermal mass. This is what you're creating here. It's a mass of heat that you could turn that on and then turn it off. I mean, again, this also has a thermostat, works in a very similar way. These, you can turn it off, it stays hot for quite a while. That doesn't mean it's created more heat. This heat still exists. It's just dissipated about the room. This will feel a bit nicer though. I personally prefer to use one of these oil heaters if I'm working, let's say I'm working at home, because it's just a nice thing to have this warm, doesn't create any noise, no remote control. I mean, I have other heaters, trust me. I've got a few off screen. They all do the same thing. But then what's the other thing that we look for? Is it aesthetics? Does it look nice? I would call these very functional. I wouldn't call them beautiful. They're not ugly, but they're not beautiful either. That's not going to win any beauty contest, is it? It's been through the wars. I've had this well over 10 years. It doesn't look great. The Russell Hobbs, on the other hand, is very handsome, isn't it? A nice brushed aluminium or steel top, a nice steel mesh over the front of it. Looks good. It suits your decor if you've got a dark room. So you're also paying for that. You're paying for aesthetics. You're paying for the feel. A lot of the time, you're also paying for the brand. Why would you pay for a brand? You might trust it. You might have other technology by the same brand, and it works for you. The other thing you think about is things like warranties. Most things come with a manufacturer's warranty. Some brands have longer warranties than others. But generally, you pay for that. So you tell me, which heater are you going to buy? Which one are you going to use? What?